He was a single cowboy until his two daughters came home with a beautiful Apache woman. The cowboy's name was Samuel, though most people in town just called him Sam. He was a tall, strong man with sun-weathered skin from years of working under the harsh western sun. His hands were rough from handling ropes, mending fences, and riding horses all day. He lived alone on a ranch he had inherited from his father, a place that had been in the family for generations. Sam had always loved the land, the wide-open plains, the rolling hills, and the endless sky that turned golden in the evening. But no matter how beautiful the land was, it could not fill the emptiness in his heart. Many years ago, Sam had been married to a kind and gentle woman named Clara. She had a laugh that could brighten the darkest day and a heart that cared for everyone around her. Together, they had built a life full of love, laughter, and hope. But tragedy had struck one winter when Clara fell ill, and despite Sam's desperate attempts to save her, she passed away. The loss left a deep scar in Sam's heart, and he had never remarried. The ranch had become his world, and raising his two daughters, Leela and Mary, was now his purpose. Leela, the older daughter, was 16. She had her mother's soft brown eyes and a strong spirit that sometimes made Sam worry. She loved helping on the ranch, riding horses, and learning about every aspect of ranch life. But she also dreamed of seeing the world beyond the plains, of meeting people from different places, and experiencing things that Sam could never imagine for her. Mary, the younger daughter, was 14. She had golden hair that shone like the sun and a cheerful smile that could lift anyone's mood. Mary was playful, curious, and full of energy. She loved exploring the nearby woods, feeding the animals, and listening to the stories her father told about their ancestors. Sam's days were long and often lonely. From the early hours of the morning, he would wake up with the sun, feed the animals, check the fences, and ride through the ranch to make sure everything was in order. The land demanded constant attention, and Sam gave it willingly. But in the quiet evenings, when the work was done and the stars appeared in the night sky, he felt the weight of solitude. He missed having someone to talk to, someone to share his thoughts and dreams with. His daughters brought him joy, of course, but they had their own lives and would soon leave the ranch to follow their dreams. Despite the loneliness, Sam never showed despair. He kept himself busy, tending to the ranch and preparing his daughters for the life ahead. He taught them how to ride horses, care for the livestock, mend fences, and handle the challenges of ranch life. He also taught them about kindness, respect, and the importance of family. Sam knew that the world could be harsh, and he wanted his daughters to be strong, capable, and confident. Every lesson he taught came from experience, from years of living close to the land and facing life's difficulties with courage. The ranch itself was a modest place, but filled with charm. There was a small wooden house where Sam and his daughters lived. The walls were decorated with simple but meaningful items: photographs of their mother, old tools from Sam's father, and a few handmade quilts that Clara had sewn before she passed. Outside, there were fields for cattle, a stable for the horses, and a vegetable garden that provided fresh food throughout the year. Sam took pride in every corner of his home and land. He worked hard not just to survive, but to honor the memory of his family and to provide a stable life for Leela and Mary. One morning, Sam was out feeding the animals when Leela ran up to him, her face flushed with excitement. "Father, Father!" she shouted, waving her arms. Sam turned, slightly surprised by her energy, and saw both daughters approaching from the path leading to the house. They looked different from the usual. There was a spark in their eyes, a sense of purpose that he hadn't seen before. "What's going on, Leela?" Sam asked, wiping sweat from his brow. "Come with us," Leela said, grabbing his hand. "We have someone to show you." Sam's curiosity was piqued. He followed them back to the house, wondering who could be visiting. When they reached the door, Sam's eyes widened. Standing there was a young woman he had never seen before. She was beautiful, with long dark hair, deep brown eyes, and skin that glowed in the sunlight. She carried herself with quiet confidence, yet there was a softness in her expression that made Sam feel at ease. The girls had their arms around her, smiling brightly. "Father, this is Ailn," Leela said gently. "We met her while traveling near the river. She didn't have anywhere to go, and we couldn't leave her alone." Sam studied Ailn carefully. He could see that she had faced hardships. There was a quiet strength in her demeanor, but also a hint of sadness. She bowed slightly, showing respect. "It's an honor to meet you, sir," she said in a soft, clear voice. I just need a place to stay for a while." Sam's first instinct was caution. He had raised his daughters to be careful, and he himself had learned to trust slowly. But something in Aelne's eyes told him that she was genuine. He could see the kindness she had shown to his daughters and the care she had for others. Despite his uncertainty, he nodded. "You can stay for a while," he said, "but you'll need to help around the ranch." Aelne nodded eagerly. "Of course, sir, I can help in any way you need." And so the three of them went inside. Sam watched as his daughters chatted with Aelne, laughing and sharing stories. He noticed how naturally Aelne fit into their little family, her presence gentle and calming. For the first time in many years, Sam felt a glimmer of hope, a feeling that perhaps his home would no longer feel so empty. Over the next few days, Aelne proved herself to be capable and hardworking. She learned quickly how to help with the animals, cook meals, and manage the daily tasks of the ranch. Sam found himself watching her from a distance, impressed by her dedication and the way she carried herself. The daughters, too, were thrilled. They had always wanted someone kind-hearted and trustworthy to be part of their lives, and Aelne fit that description perfectly. At night, Sam would sit on the porch, looking at the stars and thinking about how quickly life could change. He had never expected to meet someone like Aelne, and yet here she was, bringing light into his quiet home. He knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges, adjusting to life with a new person, learning to trust again. But for the first time in a long time, he felt ready to face them. The days passed slowly, each one filled with small joys, teaching Aelne how to ride a horse, sharing stories by the fireplace, and hearing the laughter of his daughters echoing through the house. Sam began to realize that life was not meant to be lived in solitude. There was beauty in connection, in opening one's heart to others, and in allowing new bonds to form. By the end of the first week, Sam noticed something remarkable. The house, once quiet and still, was now alive with warmth and laughter. Aelne had brought a sense of balance and harmony that Sam had not known he needed. His daughters were happier, more energetic, and full of hope. And he, too, felt a lightness in his chest, a feeling he had long thought lost to him forever. Though he didn't say it aloud, Sam knew that his life was about to change in ways he could not yet imagine. The lonely days of the past were slowly fading, replaced by the promise of companionship, friendship, and perhaps, in time, love. And as he looked at Aelne working alongside his daughters, he felt a sense of gratitude, grateful that fate had brought this young woman into their lives, and that their small family was beginning a new chapter together. For Sam, the future was uncertain, but it was no longer lonely. The land, the sky, and the ranch would always be there, but now his home was filled with people who cared for each other. And for the first time in many years, Sam allowed himself to hope, not just for the survival of the ranch, but for the happiness of his daughters, Aelne, and perhaps, someday, himself. After Aelne's first week on the ranch, life began to settle into a new rhythm. The mornings were filled with the sound of roosters crowing and the rustling of animals eager for their breakfast. Sam would rise early as always, but now he was joined by Aelne and his daughters, all ready to start the day together. The once lonely ranch was alive with activity, and Sam felt a growing warmth in his heart. Aelne proved to be quick and capable. She helped with the horses, mended fences, and fed the livestock with a gentle hand. Sam noticed how she spoke softly to the animals, earning their trust immediately. Even the stubborn old horse, Jasper, who had refused to let anyone ride him for months, allowed Aelne to mount him without a struggle. Sam admired her patience and skill, realizing that she had grown up around animals and knew how to treat them with respect. Leela and Mary were overjoyed to have Aelne around. They spent hours showing her the best places to ride and how to gather wild herbs from the nearby fields. Aelne, in turn, shared stories about her life in the Apache community, teaching the girls about plants, healing herbs, and old traditions. Sam listened quietly from a distance, impressed by her knowledge and the way the girls hung on her every word. He could see that Aelne was not only helping with the ranch work, but also enriching their lives with wisdom and stories that connected them to a larger world. At first, there were moments of awkwardness. Sam, being a reserved man, found it difficult to speak at length with Aelne. He would sometimes fumble with words, unsure how to express himself. Aelne noticed his hesitation and never pushed him. She would simply smile and continue with her tasks, letting him warm up in his own time. Her patience reminded Sam of Clara, his late wife, and for a moment he felt a pang of longing. But instead of sadness, it was comforting to see that he could trust someone again. Evenings on the ranch became a time of quiet reflection and connection. After the day's work was done, the family would gather around the fireplace. Ailn had a talent for storytelling. She would speak of the stars, of old Apache legends, and of the lessons she had learned from her people. The girls listened with wide eyes, and Sam found himself drawn in as well. It was different from the tales he had known as a child, full of spirit, courage, and hope. These stories seemed to breathe new life into the ranch, and the lonely walls of the house felt warmer than ever. One afternoon, as Sam and Ailn were repairing a broken fence, Sam spoke for the first time in weeks about something personal. "Ailn," he said, pausing as he hammered a post, "I've spent most of my life alone. After my wife passed, I didn't think I could ever let anyone into my home again." He looked at her, unsure of how she would respond. Ailn stopped what she was doing and met his gaze. "I understand, Sam, life can be hard and trust doesn't come easily. But sometimes we find people who are worth the risk, and I believe that family is more than blood, it's the people who care for each other." Sam nodded, feeling the truth in her words. Her presence had already changed his home, and he realized that it wasn't just about her helping on the ranch. She had brought comfort, laughter, and a sense of belonging. For the first time in years, Sam felt the possibility of happiness again, and it both excited and frightened him. The daughters noticed the growing connection between Sam and Ailn. Leela, always observant, smiled knowingly when she saw the way her father would watch Ailn from across the yard. Mary, with her cheerful curiosity, would ask questions about Ailn's past, eager to know more about the stories she had shared. Neither daughter felt jealousy or discomfort. They could see that Ailn was becoming part of the family, not replacing anyone. Instead, they were happy to see their father slowly letting someone new into his heart. Life on the ranch was not without its challenges. One day, a storm swept across the plains. Heavy rain and strong winds tested the fences, the barn, and even the small house. Sam, Ailn, and the daughters worked tirelessly to secure the animals and repair the damage. Ailn moved with determination, never complaining, even as the wind whipped against her face. Sam watched her courage and resilience, feeling a deep admiration for her. The storm became a turning point for the family. They realized that together they could face any challenge. Meals were another time when bonds deepened. Ailn loved to cook, and she introduced Sam and his daughters to new dishes made from fresh ingredients from the garden and nearby forests. She taught them how to make herbal teas, bread, and meals that were simple but nourishing. The family would sit together at the wooden table, sharing food and stories. Laughter filled the room, and Sam found himself feeling lighter than he had in years. The house, once quiet and solemn, was now vibrant with life. Ailn also spent time teaching the girls practical skills. She showed Leela how to prepare herbal remedies for minor injuries, and Mary learned about plants that could be used for cooking or healing. Sam observed these lessons with pride. His daughters were not only learning about survival on the ranch, but also gaining wisdom that would stay with them for a lifetime. He felt grateful that Ailn had come into their lives, bringing knowledge, care, and warmth. As the weeks passed, Sam began to notice subtle changes in himself. He found himself looking forward to Ailn's presence, appreciating her quiet strength and the kindness she showed to everyone. He began sharing small stories from his past, memories of his childhood, and tales of his adventures on the ranch. Ailn would listen intently, asking questions and showing genuine interest. For Sam, this was a new experience, having someone truly understand him, someone who could listen without judgment. One evening, as the sun set over the plains, Sam and Ailn sat on the porch, watching the sky turn orange and pink. The wind carried the scent of grass and wildflowers, and the sounds of the animals settling for the night filled the air. Sam spoke softly, almost to himself. "I never thought life could feel this full again." Ailn turned to him, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset. "Life has a way of surprising us, Sam. Sometimes happiness comes when we least expect it and in forms we never imagined." Sam smiled, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. Her words were simple, yet they carried a profound truth. For the first time since Clara's passing, he allowed himself to believe that life could be joyful again, that love and companionship could return to his home. The daughters, meanwhile, were thriving. Leela and Mary grew closer to Ailn with each passing day. They shared chores, laughter, and quiet conversations, forming a bond that felt unbreakable. Aelin had become a sister, a friend, and a guide. She treated the girls with respect and kindness, and they, in turn, adored her. The family dynamic had shifted, but in the best way possible. The once lonely ranch was now filled with the sound of voices, laughter, and shared work. Sam also noticed that his relationship with his daughters had grown stronger. With Aelin's presence, there was less tension and more joy in their interactions. They worked together as a team, helping one another and learning the value of cooperation and support. The ranch, which had once been a place of hard work and solitude, had become a home where everyone felt valued and connected. As part 2 of their journey came to an end, Sam realized that the arrival of Aelin had been more than a simple act of kindness. She had brought life back into their home, filled their days with laughter, and reminded him of the importance of family, love, and trust. The future was still uncertain, and challenges would surely come, but Sam felt ready to face them, with Aelin by their side and with his daughters growing stronger and wiser every day. For the first time in a long while, Sam understood that life could change in the most unexpected ways. A stranger had entered their lives, and through patience, courage, and kindness had become part of their family. And as the stars appeared one by one in the night sky, Sam allowed himself to hope for the future, to hope for happiness, connection, and the new beginnings that lay ahead. As the weeks turned into months, life on the ranch grew smoother, yet richer in its small, meaningful moments. Aelin had become a constant presence, not just helping with chores, but also bringing laughter, curiosity, and a quiet wisdom that drew the family closer together. Sam began to realize that her presence was changing more than just the routines of the ranch. She was slowly weaving herself into the very heart of their lives. One morning, the sun rose golden and bright over the plains. Sam was already out in the fields, checking fences and making sure the cattle were grazing safely. Aelin and the girls had joined him, baskets in hand, gathering wildflowers that grew near the fence line. Lila picked daisies, and Mary carefully tucked little wild violets into the baskets. Aelin moved gracefully among them, pointing out the edible plants and sharing knowledge about the herbs that could be used for tea, medicine, or cooking. Sam watched quietly, admiring the way Aelin's hands moved with ease and confidence. He realized that her knowledge was not just practical, it carried a deep connection to life, to the land, and to nature itself. At breakfast, the aroma of fresh bread, eggs, and herbal tea filled the small kitchen. Aelin had prepared a simple yet nourishing meal, and the family sat together, enjoying it. Conversation flowed easily, filled with stories and laughter. Sam found himself sharing memories he hadn't spoken about in years, stories of Clara, of past hardships, and of the joys of raising Lila and Mary. Aelin listened without judgment, her eyes warm and attentive, and Sam felt a strange but comforting sense of relief. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly heard. After breakfast, the family split up to tackle the day's work. Sam headed to the barn to repair a section of the fence that had been damaged by recent winds. Lila helped him, carrying tools and offering suggestions, while Mary and Aelin went to the garden to harvest vegetables for the week. As Sam worked, he found himself glancing at Aelin from time to time. There was something about the way she moved, confident yet gentle, that made him feel a connection he could not explain. He quickly looked away, chastising himself for thinking such thoughts. After all, she was a guest in their home. Despite his caution, Sam could not deny the effect Aelin had on him. There were moments when he caught himself smiling at her jokes or feeling a warmth in his chest when she complimented his work on the ranch. He noticed small gestures, the way she would adjust a saddle strap without being asked, the way she encouraged the girls to try new things, and the way she treated the animals with respect and care. Every action reminded Sam that kindness, patience, and strength could coexist in one person, and he found himself admiring her more each day. One afternoon, a stray calf had wandered away from the herd. Sam, Lila, and Aelin set out to find it, riding their horses across the open plains. The wind whipped through their hair, and the sound of hooves echoed across the fields. Sam felt a surge of happiness in that moment, a feeling he had long forgotten. He was not just a lone cowboy anymore. He was part of a team, a family working together to protect and care for their land and animals. When they finally found the calf, Aeon gently coaxed it into following her, speaking softly so as not to frighten it. Sam could see the trust the animal had in her, and he marveled at her calm confidence. As they rode back to the ranch, the girls laughing behind them, Sam realized that Aeon had not only earned his trust, but had also gained the respect and admiration of everyone around her. She was no longer a guest. She was part of the family, and her presence had changed everything. Evenings on the ranch had taken on a new rhythm. After the work was done, the family would gather by the fireplace or outside under the wide, star-filled sky. Aeon would often bring out small lessons from her culture, showing the girls how to weave simple patterns or make natural dyes from plants. She shared stories of her tribe, tales of bravery, wisdom, and the importance of caring for one another. The girls absorbed every word, their imaginations alight with the colors, sounds, and lessons of Aeon's stories. Sam, too, listened intently, feeling a sense of connection not only to Aeon but also to the heritage and knowledge she carried. One night after the girls had gone to bed, Sam and Aeon stayed on the porch, wrapped in blankets against the chill of the evening. The sky was a deep shade of blue, dotted with countless stars that twinkled like distant lanterns. Sam found himself speaking before he could stop himself. Aeon, I don't know how to say this, but having you here, it's changed everything. The house feels warmer, the days feel lighter, and I feel happy again. Aeon looked at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Sam, she said softly, I did not come here expecting anything. I only hoped to find a safe place for a time. But sometimes people come into our lives and we discover things we never imagined, like joy, friendship, and a new sense of belonging. Sam nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and uncertainty. He wanted to tell her more, to share the feelings that had begun to grow quietly in his heart, but he hesitated. There was a sense of respect and patience in Aeon that made him cautious, yet hopeful. He realized that whatever was growing between them would need time, care, and understanding. Over the following days, small moments continued to build the bond between Sam and Aeon. They worked together in the fields, mended fences, and cared for the animals, each task strengthening the silent trust between them. Sometimes their hands would brush while passing tools or holding a gate, and Sam would feel a jolt of warmth, quickly hiding it behind a cough or a clearing of the throat. Aeon seemed aware but never pushed the moment, letting the connection grow naturally. The daughters noticed these subtle changes, though they never spoke of them directly. Leela and Mary were happy to see their father smiling more, laughing more, and showing signs of being content again. They admired Aeon for her kindness and her ability to make the household feel full of life and warmth. The girls had learned from Sam to recognize strength and patience in people, and they understood that Aeon had both in abundance. Life on the ranch was not always easy, but the family faced every challenge together. One day, a sudden thunderstorm swept across the plains, bringing heavy rain and gusty winds. The river near the ranch began to swell, and the cattle became restless. Sam, Aeon, and the girls worked tirelessly to move the animals to higher ground and secure the barn. Aeon's calm voice guided the girls, and Sam found himself relying on her judgment more than ever. When the storm finally passed, they were soaked, muddy, and exhausted, but safe. Sam looked at Aeon, gratitude shining in his eyes. She had proven herself not just capable but invaluable, and he realized that his respect for her had grown into something deeper, something quietly powerful. As the days went on, Sam noticed that he was thinking about Aeon more often. How she smiled, how she spoke, how she carried herself with both grace and strength. He found himself anticipating her presence, feeling a lightness in his chest whenever she was near. He knew that these feelings were new and unfamiliar, but he also knew that they were genuine. For the first time since Clara's passing, he allowed himself to imagine a future where happiness and companionship were possible again. Aeon, for her part, had also grown attached to the ranch and its people. She appreciated the hard work and dedication that Sam and his daughters put into their home, and she admired the love and patience Sam had shown in raising Leela and Mary. She felt safe, respected, and valued in a way she had rarely experienced before. While she had come seeking only shelter, she had found something much more: a family that accepted her, a home that welcomed her, and the beginnings of a connection that could grow into something enduring. By the end of Part 3, the bonds within the small family had strengthened in ways that were quiet but profound. Aeon had become an indispensable part of their daily lives, her presence bringing balance, wisdom, and warmth. Sam had begun to recognize his growing feelings for her, feelings he had not experienced in years, and he allowed himself to hope, carefully, cautiously, but sincerely, that this new chapter in his life could bring not only companionship but also the possibility of love. The ranch, once a place of solitude and routine, was now a home filled with laughter, work shared together, and quiet moments of connection. Every sunrise brought new opportunities, every task was shared, and every evening under the stars reminded Sam of the beauty of family, friendship, and trust. As he lay in bed each night, he reflected on how much his life had changed in just a few months, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the daughters who had returned home, for Aeon who had entered their lives, and for the unexpected joy that was slowly transforming his heart. The ranch had settled into a steady rhythm, yet every day brought something new to strengthen the bonds between Sam, his daughters, and Aeon. With the seasons slowly changing, the land transformed in colors and moods, from the green pastures of spring to the golden hues of early summer. For Sam, life was no longer just about hard work. It was about the people who had quietly become his family. One morning, Sam awoke before dawn, as he always did. The sky was just beginning to lighten, painting soft shades of pink and orange across the horizon. The air was cool, carrying the earthy scent of dew on grass. He made his way to the barn, where Aeon was already tending to the horses. She had a calm, steady presence, moving with ease as she brushed down the animals and checked their saddles. Sam watched her for a moment, feeling a warmth he could no longer ignore. Her dedication, her patience, and the quiet joy she took in caring for the animals reminded him of everything he had admired about Clara, but in a new, vibrant way. "Good morning, Sam," Aeon said softly, noticing him at the barn door. "Morning, Aeon," Sam replied, smiling despite the chill in the air. "You're up early," Aeon nodded. "The horses like a little extra care at this time. It keeps them calm, especially before the sun gets too hot." Together, they worked side by side, preparing the horses for a ride to check the far fields. Leela and Mary joined them shortly after, laughing as they tried to keep up with their father and Aeon. There was a sense of teamwork, of shared responsibility, and Sam felt his heart swell with quiet pride. This was a family in the truest sense, not bound by blood alone, but by trust, respect, and love. As they rode across the plains, Sam found himself opening up more than he had in months. "Aeon," he began carefully, "I wanted to tell you, you've changed so much around here. The girls are happier, and I don't know how to explain it, but the house feels alive again." Aeon glanced at him, her eyes soft. "I didn't do it for praise, Sam. I just wanted to help, but I'm glad I could be part of something good." Sam nodded, but he couldn't hide the gratitude and warmth in his voice. "It's more than just good. You've brought hope back into all of us. For a long time, I didn't think I could feel that again." The ride continued in silence, but it was a comfortable silence, filled with the sounds of horses' hooves on the soft earth, birds singing in the distance, and the rustling of the grass in the wind. Sam realized that these quiet moments with Aeon were some of the most meaningful he had experienced in years. Her presence was calming, inspiring, and somehow made the world feel right. Back at the ranch, life continued with small but meaningful routines. Aeon taught the girls more about plants, herbs, and simple remedies for minor injuries. Leela practiced mixing herbs for teas and poultices, while Mary learned to identify edible plants and berries. Sam watched from a distance, marveling at how natural Aeon was in teaching and guiding them. Her influence was not forced. It was gentle, patient, and filled with love. He could see the girls growing in confidence, knowing that they had someone wise and caring to learn from. One evening, after a long day of work in the fields, Sam and Aeon sat together by the small pond on the property. The water reflected the sky, calm and clear, and the faint sounds of the evening, the chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves, created a peaceful atmosphere. Aeon picked up a smooth stone and skipped it across the water, sending gentle ripples across the surface. Sam joined her, attempting to skip stones as well. He laughed quietly at his clumsy throws, and Aeon laughed with him, the sound light and free. "It's been a long time since I did this," Sam admitted. "I had forgotten how peaceful it could feel." Aeon smiled. "Sometimes we get so caught up in survival and work that we forget to enjoy the small things. It's good to remember them." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple, Sam felt a strong sense of connection, not only to Aeon but to the land, his daughters, and the life they were building together. He realized that these simple moments, the work, the laughter, the shared experiences, were the foundation of trust, love, and family. Days turned into weeks, and the quiet bond between Sam and Aeon grew stronger. They found themselves working together naturally, finishing each other's sentences or anticipating each other's needs. Aeon would hand him tools before he asked, and Sam would steady a gate just as she approached it. There was a rhythm to their partnership, one that did not need words to express understanding, respect, and growing affection. The daughters, too, had grown closer to Aeon. They shared their hopes, fears, and dreams with her, trusting her guidance and wisdom. Aeon listened patiently, offering advice and encouragement without judgment. Sam observed these interactions with pride and gratitude. He realized that Aeon had become more than a helper. She had become a mentor, a friend, and a steadying presence in their lives. One day, while fixing a section of the fence damaged by a recent storm, Sam noticed how Aeon moved among the posts, her hands strong yet gentle, her focus unwavering. He felt an unexpected surge of admiration for her courage and determination. She was not just surviving, she was thriving, and she was inspiring everyone around her to do the same. Sam realized that he was falling, not suddenly, but gradually, quietly, with every kind word, every shared laugh, and every moment of understanding between them. That evening, after the work was done, the family gathered for dinner. The table was filled with simple but hearty food, roasted vegetables, fresh bread, and stew made from the ranch's livestock. Conversation flowed easily, and laughter echoed through the house. Aeon's presence had brought a lightness to their home that Sam had long thought impossible. He found himself looking at her across the table, appreciating the warmth in her eyes and the kindness in her smile. After the girls went to bed, Sam and Aeon stayed behind, cleaning up the kitchen and talking quietly. The conversation drifted from the day's work to stories of the past. Sam shared memories of his childhood, of lessons learned on the ranch, and of Clara's gentle guidance. Aeon listened intently, her eyes filled with empathy and understanding. When it was her turn, she spoke of her own experiences, the challenges she had faced, and the hopes she held for the future. Sam realized that he had never felt such a connection with anyone in years. "I never expected to feel this way again," Sam admitted, his voice low. "After Clara, I thought this part of my heart would always be empty." Aeon placed a hand gently on his arm. "Sometimes life surprises us, Sam. The heart has a way of healing when we least expect it. And sometimes it finds happiness in places we never imagined." Her words touched him deeply. He felt a mixture of hope, fear, and anticipation. He knew that his feelings were growing stronger, yet he also knew that patience was needed. He did not want to rush or frighten her. Instead, he chose to cherish each moment, allowing the bond between them to deepen naturally. Over the following weeks, Sam noticed more small gestures that spoke volumes. Aeon would bring him water while he worked, offer to help even when he insisted he could manage alone, and share quiet smiles that seemed to linger longer than necessary. Sam, in turn, found himself opening up more, sharing stories, jokes, and even quiet reflections about his hopes for the future. Every interaction, no matter how small, strengthened the trust and affection growing between them. One sunny afternoon, as the family worked together to repair a section of the barn roof, a gust of wind nearly knocked Sam off balance. Aeon reached out instinctively, steadying him with her hands. Their eyes met for a moment, and in that brief connection, Sam felt an undeniable closeness, a recognition that they were more than friends, more than companions. It was a moment of understanding, quiet yet powerful, that neither could ignore. By the end of Part 4, the relationships on the ranch had transformed. Aeon had become an integral part of the family, not just a helper but a trusted confidant, a source of wisdom, and a presence that brought warmth and light. Sam had come to recognize his feelings for her, feelings that were tender, deep, and growing stronger with every shared experience. He understood that life had brought them together for a reason, and he allowed himself to imagine a future where their bond could become even more meaningful. The ranch, once quiet and lonely, was now filled with laughter, love, and a sense of belonging. Every sunrise brought new opportunities, every challenge was faced together, and every evening reminded Sam of the beauty of family, trust, and connection. As he lay in bed each night, reflecting on the day, he felt gratitude, Not only for Aeon, but for the daughters who had returned home, for the land that sustained them, and for the new chapter in life that was unfolding so unexpectedly, yet so perfectly. The days on the ranch had grown brighter and fuller than Sam could have ever imagined. Aeon had become more than a presence in their home. She had become part of their hearts, part of their routines, and part of the laughter that echoed through the house. The girls, Leela and Mary, were thriving under her guidance and friendship. Sam could see the change in them. Their confidence had grown, their smiles were brighter, and the home felt alive in a way it had not for many years. One morning, as the sun rose over the plains, Sam watched Aeon and the girls preparing breakfast. The smell of fresh bread and eggs drifted through the house. Aeon moved with calm efficiency, smiling at the girls as they scrambled to set the table. Sam felt a warmth in his chest, realizing that this simple scene, something so ordinary, had become a symbol of all the happiness that had returned to his life. "Father," Leela said, nudging him gently, "Aeon wants you to come and help with the horses before breakfast." Sam chuckled softly, shaking his head. "I think she just wants to make sure I'm awake," he said, walking toward the stable. Aeon smiled when she saw him approaching. "Good morning, Sam. Are you ready to start the day?" "Always," Sam replied, though he knew that mornings were easier now with her by his side. Together, they worked on feeding the horses, checking the fences, and planning the tasks for the day. Sam realized how much her presence had lifted the weight of solitude he had carried for so many years. With Aeon, work was lighter, laughter was more frequent, and even the hardest tasks felt achievable. As the day went on, the family continued their work on the ranch. Leela and Mary were busy planting new seeds in the garden, while Sam and Aeon repaired a section of fence that had been weakened by the recent rains. While hammering posts and stretching wire, Sam noticed how naturally Aeon worked with him. They moved together almost without thinking, anticipating each other's actions, finishing small tasks without speaking, and communicating with just a glance. It was in these quiet, shared moments that Sam realized how deeply connected he had become to her. After the work was done, the family gathered for a midday meal. They ate together under the shade of the old oak tree near the house. Conversation flowed easily, full of stories, laughter, and gentle teasing. Sam noticed the girls looking at Aeon with admiration, their respect and love for her evident in every glance. He felt grateful not only for her presence, but for the positive influence she had on the girls' lives. She was more than a friend or helper. She was a guide, a teacher, and a comforting presence. Later that afternoon, Sam decided to take a quiet moment alone. He walked to the top of a small hill overlooking the ranch, the golden light of late afternoon casting long shadows across the fields. He could see the girls playing near the garden and Aeon tending to the animals, her movements graceful and sure. Sam felt a deep sense of contentment. Life had given him a second chance, a chance to experience happiness, companionship, and love again, and he knew in his heart that Aeon was at the center of that change. That evening, after the work was done and the sun had dipped below the horizon, Sam and Aeon found themselves alone on the porch. The sky was a deep shade of indigo, sprinkled with stars that shimmered like tiny lanterns. The air was calm, carrying the gentle sounds of night, the rustling of leaves, the distant calls of owls, and the soft breathing of the animals in the barn. Sam took a deep breath, feeling a courage he had not known in years. "Aeon," he began, his voice low but steady, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you." Aeon looked at him, her eyes warm and expectant. "What is it, Sam?" He hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "When you came into our lives, I didn't know what to expect. I only knew that my daughters and I wanted to help you. But you've changed everything. You've brought happiness, laughter, and life back into this home. And I think I've come to care for you more than I ever thought possible." Aeon's eyes softened, and she reached out to gently place her hand on his arm. "Sam, I never expected this either. I only came here hoping for safety, for a place to rest. But I've found something much more. I've found a family, a home, and I've found someone I trust, someone who cares deeply, and someone whose heart is kind." Sam felt a rush of relief and joy. The words he had longed to hear, yet feared, were finally spoken. He reached out and took her hand in his, holding it gently. "Aeon, would you stay with us? Not just as a friend, but as part of this family, part of our lives, and maybe more?" Aeon smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. "Yes, Sam. I would like nothing more than to stay with you, with all of you." In that moment under the starry sky, the bond between them deepened, no longer quiet or tentative, but real, heartfelt, and full of promise. Sam felt a sense of peace he had not known in years. His heart, once heavy with loneliness and grief, was now light with hope and love. The next morning, life on the ranch continued as usual, but with a renewed sense of unity. Aeon, Sam, and the girls worked together, shared meals, and enjoyed the beauty of the land around them. The ranch felt fuller than ever, not just with people, but with love, laughter, and the simple joys of everyday life. Every task, from feeding the animals to mending fences, became an opportunity to strengthen their bonds and celebrate their connection. Over the following weeks, Sam and Aeon continued to grow closer. They shared quiet moments on the porch, talked late into the night by the fireplace, and supported each other in both work and life. Leela and Mary watched their father smile more often, laugh more freely, and seem lighter in spirit. They, too, felt a sense of completeness, knowing that Aeon was part of their lives permanently. The ranch, once a place of solitude and routine, was now a home filled with love and harmony. Sam realized that happiness did not always come in grand gestures or sudden events. Sometimes it arrived quietly, in the form of a person who brought warmth, kindness, and understanding. Aeon had shown him that life could be beautiful again, and he vowed never to take that gift for granted. One afternoon, as the family worked in the fields, Sam paused to look around. The sun was shining, the sky was a brilliant blue, and the air was filled with the sounds of birds and the gentle rustling of leaves. Aeon laughed as Mary chased a butterfly, and Leela helped feed the younger calves. Sam felt a deep sense of gratitude for this simple, perfect moment. He realized that happiness was not just about love between two people. It was about family, trust, and shared experiences. And in that moment, he knew that their life together would be full of these moments, day after day. That evening, as they sat together under the stars, Sam finally allowed himself to feel completely at peace. Aeon was by his side, the girls were happy and thriving, and their home was filled with warmth and love. The loneliness that had once weighed on him so heavily had disappeared, replaced by connection, companionship, and a sense of belonging that he had long thought impossible. Sam took Aeon's hand in his once again, looking into her eyes. "Thank you," he said softly, "for everything, for coming into our lives, for bringing joy and love, and for staying with us." Aeon squeezed his hand gently. "No, Sam, thank you. For trusting me, for welcoming me, and for letting me be part of your family. I never expected this, but now I can't imagine life any other way." In that quiet, starry night, surrounded by the sounds of the land they loved and the family they had built together, Sam felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known. Life, with all its challenges, had brought him to this moment, a moment of love, trust, and belonging. And he knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it together, as a family united by heart, kindness, and unwavering support. From that day forward, life on the ranch continued with joy, love, and purpose. Aeon remained a constant presence. The girls flourished under her care and friendship, and Sam experienced a happiness he had thought lost forever. Together, they faced each day with courage, shared laughter, and a deep appreciation for the simple yet profound joys of life. And in this new chapter, the cowboy who had once been lonely discovered that family, love, and companionship could arrive in the most unexpected and beautiful ways.